What is good, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Jazz, and I am back with another video. So today, as you can tell by the title, we're doing story time. Okay, so grab your drinks. Okay, I got my little Fresca. Ooh. Something about a cold Fresca will do it every single time. I just want to start out by saying, throughout this pregnancy, I had a couple of fibroids, but one specifically was really, really big. And it was at the top of my stomach. As my bump was growing and baby was growing, so was the fibroid. Most fibroids are inside your uterus. This one was on the outside of my uterus. It is pretty much a benign, blood-filled tumor. It happens because of the amount of hormones and different things in your body that can cause it to become larger. I have 4 fibroids in my body right now, and 3 of them are in my uterus, I guess, and 1 is bigger. And so I'll show you a picture of what it kind of looked like, so you can kind of tell. Like, my stomach kind of looked like a bee. It didn't flow. It wasn't like cute little baby bump. It was weird. I knew it. A lot of other people couldn't tell, it didn't matter. But to me, obviously, I knew. It was just very frustrating. That played a huge part in my pregnancy. Now, moving forward, another thing. All my pregnant moms out there, make sure that you are praying before your doctor's appointments, praying before you go into the hospitals, praying before you go into your hospital rooms, covering yourself, covering your family, and covering your baby. Because moms, you are carrying a child or multiple children, and the enemy is going to be attacking you so much more because you are now 2 vessels. The attacks are very, very strong on pregnant mothers because of that. Make sure you're staying prayed up. My whole hospital visit, before I got there, every single room I switched into, I was praying over myself, over the doctors, over the space, just everything, because you just never know what could be still lingering in spaces. It's important to make sure that you are allowing God to come in, clear the space, allowing the Holy Spirit to flow. And that's important. Now, if you are not a Christian, you are not a believer, I'm still going to tell you that you need to be praying. You need to be praying and covering yourself. Take that up with God, not me, if you do not agree with me. Anywho, fun fact, baby girl was born a month early. My due date was the end of March. I ended up having baby at the end of February. It was a normal morning. I woke up, my husband got up, he was getting ready for work, which means we get up a little bit extra earlier because he's leaving. So, got up earlier, got his coffee, got different things ready for him, prayed with him, sent him on his way. Perfect. I had plans to organize my dresser with all of the stuff for baby, just get everything just nice and organized in our room. I had called my friend and I said, hey girl, are you going to come over so that we can do this? And then I can also make some raspberry tea. I was going to make some dates. I was on 35 weeks, 35 and a half weeks, going on to 36. So in my head, I'm like, okay, we're starting the prep. We're starting the prep. It's about to be March. We need to get ready. I decided to take a bath that morning. I was super cold. One thing about me, I don't get cold. I'm very much a hot body. I'm always hot all the time. I'm still texting my friend. We're talking about what we're going to do, getting everything together, blah, blah, blah. I take a bath, get out, take a nap. It's about time for me to start getting up and getting ready. I felt like I was sleeping wrong when I took my nap. So when I got up, I kind of had a cramp where my fibroid is. We're going to go back. December, I had to leave work early and start my leave early because of the fibroid. Got to a point where it was cramping up when I would be working, and I'm a very active person. I move around a lot. I do a lot at work, and I work outside. So there's really no room for me to not be able to move around. Like if I can't move around, I can't work. So there's no point in me being there. So I ended up having to leave early because of that cramping. Now, I felt that same cramping at that time. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, the doctors had said that it would be painful when that fibroid starts to die off. So I'm thinking, okay, this is probably the fibroid dying off. Yes, it's painful, but I can push through it. One thing about me, I push through pain. I pushed through the pain. I was like, okay, well, I still have some things to get done. So I texted my friend. I said, hey, girl, rain check. I'm not feeling the greatest. We reschedule this for another time. She said, yeah, that's fine. I said, perfect. Took me about an hour to get my life together before I could leave the house. Around this time, it's like 12-ish. I hop in the car. I'm on my way to the DMV. I'm like, the least thing I can do is get the tabs for all the cars. Get in the car, drive to the DMV. It's like 5 minutes away from the house. I get there. I can't get out of the car. I can't move. I feel like I'm going to throw up. I feel like I have to like go to the bathroom. I'm feeling like really strong cramps. Like period cramps, but on steroids. I was like, this feels horrible. I don't know what this is. I got to get home. So I sat in the car for a couple minutes because I'm like, maybe it'll pass. It didn't pass. I get home, try to go to the bathroom, try to throw up. Nothing's helping. I feel horrible. I'm sweating profusely. I crack all the windows open in the house, turn the heat off. It's February, so it is cold. The house is freezing by the time my husband gets home. The Monday, earlier in the week, we had went to the hospital that we would be going to give birth to do a visit and do a tour, and meet the midwives, which I highly recommend for any hospital, any birthing center that you plan on giving birth at. Make sure that you can like do a visit or a walkthrough or just have an idea of where you're going, where you're going to be parking, what's going to be what, because when push comes to shove, when the time comes and it's crunch time and you got to go, you don't want to be trying to figure stuff out. Okay. You want to P's and Q's. You got to have all your ducks in a row. I didn't have the phone number that they had given out on Monday. My husband did. He put in his phone. I said, there's no reason I need it. It was like the nurse's line. So if you had any questions, if you were going into labor, if your water broke, X, Y, and Z, you'd call them, let them know, hey, I'm on my way to the hospital. Should I be going to the hospital? You know, haven't felt baby kick in a while. I don't, like any concerns you have, you call this number and they will tell you what to do. Now, I did not have that number. I'm struggling trying to Google this number. Can't find it. I don't want to bother my husband because I'm like, okay, he'll be home soon. Let me just relax, whatever. He ends up calling me and I was like, he asked me how my day was. I told him, look, I feel terrible. I do not feel good. Please come home. I think we need to go to the hospital. I don't know what's going on. If I say I'm in pain, it's excruciating. I was like, we got to go. So he's like, okay, I'm close to the house. I'll be there in like 10 minutes. Okay, cool. So I'm thinking, what do I pack? Because there's no bags packed. There's no car seat in the car. Nothing is ready for baby to be born. Actually, this is the bag that I took. This is the bag that I had. I picked it up. I had my notebook. I had my deodorant. I had my wallet. I had my Bible in there. I threw my charger and my keys. And that was it. I didn't have anything, and some Carmex. I didn't have anything else with me. And he had his work stuff and his laptop and the clothes he had on. And I had the clothes I had on. Otherwise, nothing. Just was not prepared. We're on the way to the hospital. When he comes home, he's like, are you sure you want to go to the hospital? I said, yes. He asked me if I want to go to a closer hospital to our house. I said, no. I want to go to the hospital that we're supposed to go to because they already know what's going on. And if anything is going on, and I am giving birth today or tomorrow or whatever, I want to be where, my midwife is and my OB, and like, I want to be there. I don't care how long the drive is. I just want to be there. He said, okay, that's fine. We get there. I'm on the phone with the nurse's line as we're going, trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do. So by the time I finished my call with her, she's like, yeah, I suggest you go to the hospital. I said, boom, we're already here. I just pulled up. I'm walking in. She said, okay, that's perfect. Walk in, go upstairs. The first room they bring me to, because technically my water hasn't broke. I'm not 40 weeks. I also am high risk because of the fibroid, called triage. So pretty much they check your heart rate, they check my baby's heart rate, they check your body, they make sure everything's good, they see what's going on, they see, you know, what you have going on. They want to know, okay, did your water break? How many centimeters are you? Are you actively in labor? Are you dilated? Are you not? Are you having contractions? What's going on? So as they're looking at everything, they're noticing that my contractions are not really stopping, and there's like no break. And they had asked me like how I felt, and I told them I felt horrible. I threw up about 2 or 3 times. They gave me 2 IVs, 1 in each arm, because they weren't sure if later on they would need to give me another IV, or if they needed to give me some other medication, or if something came up that they would need to put another IV in my arm, it would already be there. So I was fine with that. I was cool with that. It makes life easier. Poke me twice, get it over with. They realize, okay, you're 3 centimeters dilated, so you're going to be giving birth soon. Not soon, but you're going to be giving birth here in the next like 24 hours. And in my head, I'm like, okay, so I'm not leaving. And they're like, no. Okay. Check everything. Baby's heart rate is good. My heart rate is good. They have like these 2 circle monitors on my stomach. They're having me lay down, get up, sit up, do all this movement, but the moving around is really like hurting my stomach. Like I am in pain with moving. And when I see other people that are in labor and, you know, giving birth and stuff like that, I'm looking at them. They're making TikTok videos. They are, you know, doing their makeup, getting cute and doing all these things. And I'm sitting here like, you guys are liars. And obviously I had a totally different case, but I'm sitting here like, there's no way I could be wearing a full face of makeup and giving birth. I understand why the girlies be getting braids and twists put in their hair during this time, because my hair was straight at the time. I sweated my hair out within 2 to 3 hours. My hair was sweat out. After that, then they moved me to the birthing room, which is where I would be giving birth. I wanted to do a water birth. That was my plan. That was my mindset. You know, I did ask in the other room, and they're like, I don't think so, but you can always ask again. So when I got to this room, we went over the birthing plan. They went over like all the medications I could take. So they gave me some like minor doses of things, because I'm not a medicine person. I do not do medicine. I push through the pain. The only time I really take anything is if my cramps are really, really bad, usually on day 1. 1 or 2. Other than that, I push through the pain on everything. I asked if I could do a water birth. They said no, I'm high risk. But they did say that I could like soak my body in the bathtub. I could go sit in the bathtub. I can go sit in the shower. I can utilize the entire room. I can move around. I can use the peanut balls. I can use like the regular like yoga balls. I could use all of those. The yoga ball helped for a little bit, but for the most part, my contractions were so like consistent that they were just like, do you have any downtime of you not being in pain? I said, not really. It's maybe for 10 seconds, 20 seconds. It's not that long. So they just kept monitoring me, kept monitoring baby, tried to get me comfortable. I threw up a couple more times. They suggested that I order food from downstairs so that I could be eating something. They said that I probably wouldn't be giving birth until the early morning or following day. So they decided to give me like a higher dose of melatonin, because that was something that I was like, okay, I could take that. I could go to sleep. I could relax. I could be chill. No. I slept for maybe like 20 minutes and then got up and threw up again. It was just really bad. I was at my peak of pain, and I had said, give me the epidural. I just don't want to feel pain. Give me the epidural. So they brought the guy in. He gave me the epidural. He was super nice. Just explained everything he was doing. Which, another thing, every doctor I came in contact with was so good about explaining everything and asking me constantly, like, do you understand? Do you have any questions? You know, and when I did have questions, they would break it down. And I was at the point of exhaustion from everything that I didn't care what kind of questions I asked. I didn't care how silly it sounded, because they're doctors. They're there to help you, and They hear way worse things. So I asked any and every question I could possibly think of, and they were very informative and very helpful. So I was very, very appreciative of that. He came in, gave me the epidural. I started feeling it kick in, and I was like, okay, I'm starting to feel a little bit better. Nope. Baby's heart rate started dropping quick. And I guess my blood pressure started getting like super high. And they were like, oh no. We need to see what's going on. So they're trying to figure out where baby is, getting her heart rate, figuring out all of that. Mind you, in my head, again, my plan was to have a natural birth. They said that they weren't going to push delivery, like they weren't going to intentionally break my water. They weren't going to help me into labor. They were just going to let me see it through because of me only being 35 and a half-ish weeks. Also, didn't plan on having a C-section because baby was head down. When we had went on Tuesday earlier in that week to do my ultrasound to see if baby had flipped and she wasn't breech anymore, she did flip. So any C-section questions that I had, asking the doctor, because I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna have a natural birth. That's perfect. Now here we are. All these things are happening, and the doctor says we're gonna have to do an emergency C-section. I heard it, but it didn't click. And then she said it again, letting me know. And I was like, okay. And I looked at my husband. I was like, when you are going through this, you know, like for me, it's like we're going through this together. We make decisions together, and I trust his judgment, and especially during intense situations. So I had asked him, I was like, are you okay with that? Like, how do you feel? Like, do you think this is the right decision? Blah, blah, blah. And he was like, yeah. So within 2 minutes, room went from 2 doctors to about 15 real quick. And they were all actively like dressed, ready to go. Like they were not playing no games. And they're getting my husband ready. They wheeled me into the room, kind of like in and out of sleep. They gave me more medication than just epidural, because obviously the epidural had just like really kicked in. They had given me more medication, and I get in there and they get to work. I ended up having to have a blood transfusion at that time of surgery because the fibroid that I had was bleeding. And since it was bleeding, it was causing stress on baby girl. And that's what was causing her heart rate to start dropping and my like blood pressure to start rising. Like they were like, she needs more blood. She's losing blood fast. So they had to get baby girl out. They had to resuscitate her a couple of times because she wasn't breathing when she first came out. Obviously my plan was to have a natural birth, to go as far as I could without really getting an epidural. And I went pretty far. You don't know what kind of pain you're dealing with until you're in that situation. And resuscitated her a couple of times. Like my husband came in, he was watching what they were doing, but then also like making sure she was good. Like I heard her cry maybe like 2 times. And then she was okay. I guess she was stable. And what they had to do was they had to like clear out all the blood. They had to vacuum out all the blood that was in like my stomach and just everywhere. They had to clean all that out, clean it all up. They had to stitch the fibroid back up without it, you know, bleeding. It had to obviously put my uterus back in, my placenta out. If you want to watch how C-sections are done, feel free. If you don't, then don't. Stitch me back up. And it's 7 layers of skin that they had to stitch back up. Finished giving me blood. Also threw up a couple of times while I was laying there. And it was, the only way I could describe that moment was I had so much peace. I had so much peace. I wasn't anxious. I wasn't worried. I wasn't like freaking out, like what if I die and blah blah. Like a lot of times my mind tends to go to like the worst possible situation, like what happens, you know, if this is it. It was a lot, and at that moment I've never felt peace like that in my entire life. And the only way I could describe it is I know that God was with me. I know that the Holy Spirit was with me. And this is one of those moments where, you know, me and my husband both, before I went in to do the C-section, we both prayed together while the doctors were like prepping and getting me ready. You know, it's important to pray over your spouse. It's important to pray over your children, your unborn children. It's important to pray over the doctors. It's important to pray before every and any situation, because you never know how things could go. All I can say is God is so real, and I've witnessed it during this time, and no one can tell me different. No one can tell me that God isn't real, especially after that. Like, I go to the dentist sometimes and I'll be in there like freaking out, anxiety through the roof. But this was peace that can only come from God. Peace that like surpasses all understanding, that makes absolutely no sense. God is so good, and I'm so grateful. After that, after I was done with surgery, they took baby to the NICU, and I went to the recovery room, and you know, I was exhausted. Got to talk to the doctor, and just the nurse that was in there at the time just was giving us just different helpful tips and different things. She had just had a C-section 3 months prior, and so she was just telling us different things and giving us advice, and I appreciated it because, you know, I had a million questions that I didn't get to ask, and I didn't get to research, and I didn't think about it because that wasn't part of my plan. And this whole experience also just shows that, like, you may have a plan, but God's plan is better. God's plan will always be better. There could have been serious issues that obviously were underneath the surface that I didn't see and didn't know what was going on. And I just thank God that I just followed where he was taking me. Yes, it wasn't my birth plan. It was not my idea of giving birth, but baby girl is healthy. A month old. She's healthy. She's strong. She's perfect in every way, and I couldn't be more grateful. I am a mom. I get to enjoy being a mom, and he blessed me with the best gift ever. And again, I could not be more grateful. So just know that you may have a plan, but God definitely has a plan, and it's always going to be way better than whatever you thought. So baby was in the NICU for 3 days. We were in the hospital for a total of 5, and baby girl got to come back to our room on the 4th day. They took her off the feeding tubes. They took her off the breathing tubes. She was doing very well. Again, I wanted to breastfeed, and that's something that I'm not able to do just yet. I am exclusively pumping, and it makes me a little bit sad, but I'm very grateful because the baby girl is fed, and I don't have to think about it. Like, she's fed. She, you know, obviously being in the NICU, she got fed the bottle, and that made it pretty much so that she was used to that. And then needing to get back to her original birth weight, like, it was just easier to keep feeding her the bottle and exclusively pumping. And now I'm just kind of like in that transition of trying to be able to do both, because it's good to be able to do both. But I'm also, you know, a little bit bummed that, dang, like, it's not coming as easily as I want it to. Also, that's my plan. God has other plans. Like, my body's still working. My body's still producing milk. Baby's still eating. And so I'm very grateful. We left on the 5th day. We went home and pretty much just started learning different, like, ways with my pump, getting different clothes for baby, because she had to have preemie clothes, but she grew out of them in like a week. So there's just so many things that you mentally don't prepare for. And so I'm going to do a whole nother video about, you know, different things that I would suggest that people add to like their registries, whether they need it or not. I would just suggest having it on there just in case, because you just never know. That's my amazing birth story. It was very traumatic, but also very eye-opening, and it's my testimony as well as my birth story, well, baby girl's birth story. And I'm just so grateful that I'm healthy, I'm strong, baby girl's healthy and strong, my husband's healthy and strong, and right now we're just praying and claiming healing in my body against the fibroids, that they go away in Jesus' name, and that I am healed and we won't ever have to worry about the fibroids again. You know, continuing to build our family. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm going to be doing more videos. If there's anything you want to see from me specifically, let me know. Otherwise, thank you for joining me. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.